as Charlie said, is growing sort of by leaps and bounds right now. And our motto there is to inspire citizenship, develop leadership. And that's a big order, because you can do everything you can in both of those areas without knowing how to define either one of them. To inspire citizenship, that encompasses so many different things that it's difficult to know what goes into it. And leadership, there have been books and bookshelves full of books on leadership, trying to define it and the different aspects of it. It's a little bit like one of the justices of the Supreme Court said when they were considering something on pornography. He couldn't define it, but he knew it when he saw it. That's sort of what that's like as far as leadership goes. So we know what it is. We know some of the elements of it. We can encourage that in the school, encourage our young people to be involved, and that's what we're really doing. As Ken said, though, one of the things that we do each year on an annual basis is present an Excellence in Public Service Award. And this year's recipient is Charlie Bolden, who is the administrator of NASA. I've known Charlie for a long time, and I don't think that there's anyone any more deserving than he is for his dedicated life. He is as dedicated to public service, public servant as there is around. And I think it's a particular pleasure to be here tonight to help award this award to Charlie, because I think he deserves it very, very much, and we're glad that he was selected this year. Charlie, congratulations.
You know, I think everybody knows Senator Glenn, so I won't dwell on his accolades, but I do want to thank you for your outstanding service to our country, and for your commitment in the preparation of the next generation of leaders that many of them line the wall over there. I'm really humbled to be here because in accepting this award, I represent the men and women of NASA in accepting this, and the men and women of the Marine Corps, because as Senator Glenn mentioned, my life has pretty much been spent in public service, and what caused me to stay here was the people. And I'll say most of my remarks are directed to the fellows, because hopefully you're embarking on what will be an incredible career of public service for you, for at least a part of it. And I want to try to impress upon you how much it has meant to me in my life and to my family, because it's been absolutely incredible, but it's been the people. I have to begin with a confession, Senator Glenn. I was in high school when you became the first American to orbit Earth. I know you thought you and I were contemporaries. I look like I was in high school.
You're going to make me feel old.
That accomplishment would have been enough for anybody, but the senator has continued to serve our nation, as all of you know, in so many ways. As an officer of Marines, as a statesman, as an educator, and as an advocate, an occasional constructive critic of America's space program. And I say that in all sincerity and in appreciation, because I think anybody who works with me knows that I tell people, you know, if my baby is ugly, tell me. Because all babies become beautiful as they mature. And I, you know, Senator Glenn has been an incredible supporter, but he is an ardent critic of some of the things that we do or the way we do them, and I appreciate that very much. You know, it's literally impossible for me to be in the same room with him and not acknowledge how much his extraordinary exploits and his accomplishments have influenced me, as I've humbly tried to walk in his footsteps as a fellow officer of Marines, as a pilot, as an astronaut, and as a public servant. I may never reach the heights he's achieved, but I am grateful for the bar he's set and for the helping hand he has always so graciously extended to me. I also have to admit that accepting an award for public service is somewhat an oxymoron to me. You see, my parents, who were both lifelong educators, live by the credo that service is the rent you pay for the room here on Earth. It wasn't something extra for me that you did in your spare time, or something you did to earn personal recognition. As many of you know, I grew up in the segregated South in the 50s and 60s. My father was a high school football coach, my high school football coach, and he was a teacher. My mother was a librarian at the elementary, middle, and the high school levels. And we didn't have a lot of money, but my brother and I grew up rich in another important way because of the the passion for learning and service instilled in us by our parents. They held us to high standards for conduct and achievement. As I approached high school graduation, I knew there was one thing I wanted to do. I wanted to go to the United States Naval Academy and serve in the military. Due to the staunch segregation of the South at the time, I was initially unable to get the needed appointment to the academy. But I believed my mom and dad when they told me that I could do anything I wanted to do if I was willing to be heard, to work hard, and to be persistent. Fortunately for me, I had been writing Vice President Lyndon Johnson for 4 years because I was eligible for a vice presidential appointment. And unfortunately, one of the most devastating things that occurred in my senior year was President Kennedy was assassinated. And ironically, it was the same day that my high school football team traveled to Charleston, South Carolina to play in the state championship. So it was sort of a bittersweet day. And it was bittersweet for me because I knew when President Kennedy was assassinated that my hope of going to the Naval Academy had just about vanished. But my mom and dad had always said, do what you want to do. And so I wrote the president. And I said, I know I'm not eligible for a presidential appointment, but I need help. Didn't hear from him. Did not hear a word. But a week later, a Navy recruiter came to my house and said, hey, I understand you want to go to the Naval Academy. And a week after that, a retired federal judge showed up at my high school and said, hey, the president has sent me around the country looking for qualified African-American young men to go to the service academies. And so my not lifelong, but my dream since 7th grade of going to the Naval Academy came true as I got an appointment to the United States Naval Academy. Needless to say, things have really changed since the days of my youth. I have the honor today of being the first African-American administrator of the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, serving under the nation's first black president. Believe me when I tell you, either one of those things would have been unimaginable when I was your age back there, okay? I want to take a moment to speak directly at the young Buckeyes here. You're fortunate, very fortunate, that the Glenn School has included STEM education as a part of its curriculum. Through the Battelle Center for Science and Technology, you have access to one of the finest science and technology policy centers in the United States, if not the world. We all know about the jobs crisis here in the U.S. that's been plaguing our nation since the start of the Great Recession in 2007, but it's a little-known fact that while 13 million Americans are unemployed, more than 500,000 manufacturing jobs are unfilled right now, simply because companies can't find enough trained scientists, engineers, and technicians to do the work. All of this is occurring in a world where emerging economies are surging ahead and education has become the fault line between success and failure. Clearly, this is an American crisis, but it's one that we can solve. President Obama has repeatedly stressed the importance of growing America's STEM workforce and has made it one of his highest priorities. He set a goal of recruiting, retaining, and graduating 10,000 engineers each year to maintain America's competitive edge. STEM education is the foundation of NASA's learning initiatives. At NASA, our needs for workers across the aerospace community in the coming decades will be great. The space program is soaring to new heights with new destinations on the horizon and new workers needed to advance aviation and space technology. A growing number of small and medium-sized private companies are also coming aboard as the commercial space industry picks up steam. Several weeks ago, we saw the first successful launch and berthing to the International Space Station by a private American company, SpaceX. Clearly, we have entered a new era in the commercial spaceflight. More U.S. companies are getting into the game, and all of them will need STEM-educated workers. The good news is that everywhere I go, I meet young people like those of you over there on the wall who are eager to enter the STEM fields. I urge you to take advantage of the resources and opportunities offered by the Battelle Center and elsewhere at the Ohio State University. STEM education is not only important for America's space program, it's essential to America's economic growth and global competitiveness in the 21st century. It is key to solving some of the world's most pressing environmental, health, and technical problems. Finally, I want to thank the young people here, all of you, for making the commitment to public service and for choosing the John Glenn School of Public Affairs as a starting point. Nothing is more important than the path you have chosen. As Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. reminded us, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? I hope the answer for most of you will be that you are dedicated to making a positive difference in the world so that the lives of those you meet are much better because you passed their way. Thank you again for this honor tonight. God bless all of you, and God bless the United States of America.